Hi there, I'm Beckie Bray Rankin. I am a French teacher at Lexington High School, and I've been here for almost a decade. Before that, I taught in West Africa for gap year students doing humanitarian work, and before that, I was in downtown Washington, D.C., teaching French 1. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the different identities that we take on when we speak a different language. I grew up in a very conservative home and started learning French in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, and when I was 15, I was able to travel to Paris. I spent a couple of days in a family's home that was very similar to my own, and then a few days doing a campaign for a local church. And what was incredible was the freedom that I felt when I was in France, because I wasn't really under my parents' view. I was with people who were older, who had seen the world a little bit, and so I was able to learn from them. And I was doing all of this in French. I returned to do the same sort of experience again when I was 16 and was able to meet more people, was able to speak more French, and that's really what got me excited about the language and the culture, was being there on my own. And so I developed sort of this personality or this character in France that was so different than my American personality because I was really constrained at home to be like my parents wanted me to be. So after that, I went to college and spent some time in France every single summer. And what I loved, again, about that was this independence. I did wild things that I would never imagine doing in the States. I walked up to a group of police officers and asked to take a photo with me. I jumped the metro, and granted, to me, these things now are not incredible, but when you're 18, 19 years old in a different country where the stakes could be higher, it's exciting and it feels dangerous. So as time went on, I visited France more. I sort of kept on that identity, and I would say that my American identity has more matched my French identity than the other way around. I feel like I've become someone who's more worldly, who knows more about life in general, and granted that's a little bit from age, but it's really about the experience traveling and speaking with other people who speak French. I get to see their perspective, their way of doing things. When I lived in West Africa, sort of the same thing happened. I was speaking French, so I had this more exciting, more daring identity, and I found that I was able to use that to explore more and to get to know people more. And I learned a lot from the people in the town that I worked and lived in Boaké, Côte d'Ivoire. And I learned about friendship there. I learned that friendship is not about doing things for each other or having long and deep conversations. It's really about sitting together for hours and hours and hours. And I remember people who I hadn't even really communicated with because I didn't speak their dialect well enough. I was able to exchange the basic greetings. And these people, when I left, called me their best friend. In fact, the name that I was given at the end of my time in West Africa was Sengenetena, which in the Senefo dialect means brotherhood is peaceful, or like it's great to be in company of people who are your family. And so it was so meaningful to me that this identity that I have in French was able to sort of take on this characteristic not only of independence, but of friendship and relationship and bridge building. So I find that more and more my American self is becoming that other self, that person that travels, loves to explore, and loves to live a little bit on the edge. I can't say I've done anything wild and crazy here, but at the same time, I find that this language journey that I've been on helps me explore different parts of myself, and particularly parts of myself that I probably wouldn't have known about if I hadn't been given that chance when I was 15 years old to go to France and work with the group of people that I worked with. So I'm excited to hear what other stories people have about their language journey. Obviously, mine ended me in the classroom. I am a French teacher and loving every minute of that. I do teach language, I do teach culture, but I think my goal is really to help students explore what their identities are and how that relates to other people's identities around the world. So that's all I have for you. Hope you have a wonderful journey in your language experience, and maybe try another language. You might be surprised what you learn about yourself.